Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You look
Can you hear
awesome.
me?
Yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
hear you.
You look
Yeah,
great. Your skin's very glowy.
thanks. That's my lighting and a filter that I've got on.
Nice. I couldn't figure out how to do the filter, but I've got the lighting down.
If you touch the little face on the bottom, you can put on a filter.
Noted.
Yeah. So, how are you doing?
Great. Been having an easy day so far, kind of laid back. So, what about you?
About the same. I've just like stopped paying any attention to time. So I like wake up when I want to wake up, and I go to bed whenever I want to go to bed, and it's become a very weird life.
Yeah, I did start setting an alarm 2 days ago, but before that, I was kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I, I set an alarm, but I never really use it.
Right.
Like it's there for I don't know what reason.
Just in case.
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, let's get started because I have a lot of questions about skincare. So, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Shelby Zollman. I am a licensed esthetician, owner of Media Aesthetic Boutique. I mostly specialize in professional skincare treatments like facials, chemical peels, but I also help my clients with at-home skincare regimens as well. I do other body treatments, lash services, brow services, but my specialty is really skincare.
Yeah. And of course, I know you because you do my facials and peels, which
Yes.
I would be due for one pretty much about now. And instead, I'm just dealing with uh, what you can't see because of the filter.
Yes, and I've definitely had a lot of people reaching out in panic mode, like, what am I going to do to my face? So I'm
Yeah,
addressing that as best as I can.
yeah. Well, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into becoming an esthetician?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story. My process through schooling, what I changed my mind several times, like most of us. But eventually, I decided that I kind of wanted to give the cosmetology field a go. Started out by working in an Aveda salon and spa, which I quickly realized that working on the spa side really that fit my interest so much more than doing hair. I can't really put my finger on one thing, but it was so much more rewarding to me. And I just really liked the energy of the whole thing. So the whole atmosphere, I mean, of the spa. So I decided to give aesthetic school a go a couple months in. It was kind of a risky thing, but a couple months in, I really realized I had a passion for it. And one thing led to another. 7 years later, here I am.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you've had to close your spa. So, what have you been doing since then?
Well, I've I was gonna say panicking. No, I'm just kidding. Um, well, I've been staying in contact with my clients. I have a very personal relationship with them already. I always have. So we're very much on a texting or calling or Instagram message type of relationship. So I've definitely put together some packages, custom packages for my clients as far as at-home facials they can do. But I cannot address now more than ever just to do your basic morning and evening ritual, which includes your double cleansing in the morning, your I always recommend doing a targeted serum as well as an SPF and moisturizer during the day. And then the evening, very similar, only instead of doing your SPF, you of course don't need that at night. You want to do a retinol, which we can talk more about that if you're interested. But during this time of quarantine, giving your skin a little bit extra, especially if you're one of my people who were coming in monthly, doing an enzyme mask every week is extremely beneficial for your skin. Or just doing a simple mud mask, hydrating mask, things like that are really going to save you right now.
Okay. So, you mentioned like the morning and evening routines. So, like, let's break it down and talk about the morning. So, I usually don't do a double cleanse in the morning because it's too drying for my face. But for
Well, you
people
don't
who,
wear a lot of makeup and stuff, right?
well, not now, not anymore.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, so yeah, I usually don't. I mean, I have rarely worn makeup just because I just cannot motivate myself to do it. But yeah, so for even when I do wear makeup, I just find that my just washing my face with water is enough, and that when I use any sort of cleanser in the morning, it's just too drying and it makes me break out even more. Um, so, but for people, most of the people it seems like that I know have pretty dry skin. So, like, what would be a typical dry skin and a typical oily skin, like morning routine?
I'm glad you asked that question because there's definitely a huge difference. I'm more on the dry type, which is surprising to a lot of people, but I just use a ton of oils and moisturizers to give me that oily look. But a really good dry skincare routine, using an oil cleanser is amazing. And I recommend not even washing it off with water, just using a damp towel or even a dry towel if you're fine with that. Damp towel just feels a little bit nicer. Doing that first as your first cleanse, and that'll remove any makeup as well. If you are one of those people that falls asleep in your makeup, I hope not. But same thing in the evening, taking your day off with the oil cleanser is great. Just this gentle, basic, I know Obagi has a great gentle cleanser. The skincare line I provide, PCA, has a great basic cleanser. Something that's pure, non-comedogenic, mostly fragrance-free, paraben-free, stuff like that is what I always recommend. Just something very simple and pure. After that, your serum is going to depend on your skin type. So for dry skin, I recommend using a hyaluronic acid serum, or a vitamin C serum would be great as well, especially if you're worried about aging, or dull skin. As far as SPF, I know we're quarantined right now, but even if you're just going outside a little bit, spending time in front of a window, SPF I recommend on the daily basis because you never really know where you're going to lead. And most people with dry skin, they want to moisturize a little bit after that as well. But oily skin types really don't feel the need to moisturize after the SPF. That's usually enough.
Okay. And then on the evening routine side, what do you recommend for both the dry skin and oily skin? What's a good routine to have in the evenings?
So they'll be pretty similar as far as you always want to use a serum and a retinol in the evening, no matter your skin type. But as far as a dry skin, you want to use the oil cleanser as well again, and then follow up with your double cleanse, especially if you're wearing a lot of makeup. If you don't wear much makeup throughout the day, you can get away with just doing one cleanse in the evening. And then you'll use your same serum as far as your hyaluronic acid or your vitamin C, or two combined if you're high maintenance like I am. And then you'll use your retinol after that in the evening only, because it does make your skin photosensitive, which sensitive to the sun, which your sunscreen will help with that in the mornings. But just to be safe, we only use it at night, and you don't need it more than once anyway. Then after that, you'll moisturize.
Okay. So a lot of people have more time right now, or are trying to make time for self-care just because everyone's under so much stress being quarantined. So do you have any recommendations for sort of like that extra step, that pampering to do in addition to your morning and evening routine?
Yes. So some of the things I like to use aren't necessarily considered essentials. So as far as ordering during this time, as far as the tools I like to use at home, I'm not sure. I know Amazon is still delivering. You can get some things off of there. That's not where I like to get my products, just because I get them from more of the accounts I have, the professional lines I have accounts with. But one thing I love to use at home is my jade roller, which I have right here. And I've sanitized them, so I'll just show you. You just kind of go in an upward motion. This is really good for product penetration. It's good for facial tension. I like to do it along my jawline because I tend to grind my teeth. A lot of people don't realize when you're a teeth grinder, you struggle with anxiety. You have a lot of tension here. So this is really great for that. I use these in my treatments, but they're great for at-home use. Super simple. I prefer the rose quartz because it has natural healing properties as well. But other than that, as far as at-home treatment, I love PCA's enzyme mask, which is a weekly treatment that I refer to my clients. You can also get masks anywhere, really. Sephora, you can get really cheap ones at Target that are decent. They're not going to be as concentrated, but just doing some kind of mask. And if you are really just in your home and you don't have anything like that at all already laying around, you can use natural products as well. So natural products you make in your own home. So this is going to sound silly, but like banana is extremely hydrating for your skin. You can totally just mash up a banana and mix it with some honey, put that on for hydration. As far as acne skin, baking soda is
Really?
awesome. Yeah, so you can mix baking soda with a little bit of water and use it as a spot treatment if you're broken out on your chin. That's amazing. Um, Also, one of my favorite things to put on my face that's completely natural is avocado.
Okay. I've been eating a lot of avocado, but so far it hasn't made it to my face.
Yeah, that's one of those things that's hard to get right now because they only stay fresh for a couple of days, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had to throw away a bunch of avocado because I'm pretty sure that the Walmart person who was like shopping for me for curbside pickup like picked the stuff that's about to expire. Um, so that was a lesson learned.
Yeah. So those are some things that you might just have laying around in your house that you could use. As far as my clients, what I've been doing for them, I've been putting together a mini facial with the double cleanse, exfoliation, whatever targeted serum they may need, a spot treatment if they may need that, and also I'm incorporating, having them incorporate a facial massage with coconut oil, which most people have around. If you don't have coconut oil, olive oil is fine, almond oil, anything like that. Just really massage it into the skin, and they're non-comedogenic oils. They're all natural, so they're not going to break you out. It's really great for hydrating without clogging the pores. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but just massaging your own face can really do a lot. And afterward, most people notice a relief in their sinuses, which is really bad this time of year. Especially right here, you can do like a lymphatic drainage massage with just pressure point, just like this. Or like right here, right here. These are just some targeted areas that people can really focus on if you have sinus issues.
Okay.
But other than that, like I mentioned earlier, the jaw massage for the quenched and the tension there.
Yeah. So if you're doing that like lymphatic drainage massage, are you just like pushing at those points, like over on your chin, next to your
Yeah,
nose?
for the pressure point, you can use a pretty good amount of pressure. But as far as actually massaging and pulling, you don't want to use much pressure because you don't want to pull on that skin. But use as much pressure as you want when you're just kind of, and I just kind of hold it. In my treatments in the spa, I typically do that with aromatherapy.
Right.
So you feel free to incorporate that as well if you have lavender or tea tree or something like that laying around the house.
Okay. So actually we have a question, which is, what would you recommend for acne for diabetic patients?
Okay, as far as treatments at home,
Yeah, I think let's start with at home, and then if there's any recommendations for once quarantine is lifted. Are there any special treatments for diabetic patients?
you definitely want to be careful when you're dealing with anything that can affect your immunity as far as skincare goes. There's certain treatments you can't do, but as far as products, it's pretty open. When your immunity is compromised, you don't want to do things like dermaplaning. You don't want to do anything invasive like chemical peels usually, or even extraction, stuff like that. You want to stick away from. Mostly a light chemical peel could be okay, but at home, you still have a lot of options. I would definitely recommend looking for a salicylic acid product. I would start with a spot treatment just because a lot can be sensitive to this ingredient. You can just put it on the actual acne itself. If you're someone that has acne all over, and you're not doing anything, because this will depend on what you're currently doing on how to step that up. I would definitely start with the basics as far as cleansing, exfoliating, and then using a light oil-free moisturizer. A lot of people with acne think that they shouldn't moisturize because it'll make them more oily. But in actuality, a lot of people struggle with acne because their skin's dehydrated and it's all trapped under the surface. So really, as far as at-home skincare, I wouldn't recommend anything super different for a diabetic person than anyone who didn't have diabetes. It would just come into play with the actual treatment in the office.
Okay. So you've mentioned a few products, so let's kind of talk, I guess, about them specifically. You mentioned vitamin C a few times. Can you tell us what it does and how to use it, and how do you know if you need it, or is it for everybody?
Yes. So, okay, there's a common misconception that vitamin C is for everyone, and I guess it could be, but a lot of people with oily skin, it's just not your best friend. But vitamin C is ascorbic acid. It's a natural antioxidant, which just like taking vitamin C in your body, it stops damage. So when it comes to your skin, using it topically, it neutralizes free radicals, which stops your skin from getting fine lines and wrinkles, essentially, but it also helps with dull skin. A lot of people know that vitamin C is naturally in oranges and other citrus fruit, but it actually naturally occurs in our body as well. Using it topically on the skin really has a lot of benefit. As far as people with dry skin, it's usually for anyone with dry skin. When you come into an issue with oily skin, clients they can get a lot of blackheads from using vitamin C, so you really want to be careful. So it's not necessarily the ingredient itself that you want to look for, it's the way it's formulated and what it's carried in. A lot of vitamin C comes in an oil form, but I would definitely recommend using something a little more like a very light cream if you're struggling with acne and you want to use a vitamin C. I don't have a full size, but the vitamin C that I like for acne is the PCA one here, which I know it's going to be backwards. And the reason is because it has hydrocortisone in it, which is a natural chemical exfoliation. So it's not going to clog your pores. It's going to keep your cell turnover rate going. So that's the difference between using something that's a vitamin C that's formulated with other specific ingredients good for your skin type, rather than just using a pure vitamin C off the shelf, which is great for certain people, but oily skin, it becomes a problem.
Okay. And you mentioned exfoliation a few times, and I know like growing up, to me, exfoliation was like literally like rubbing your skin raw or using like that St. Ives like exfoliation mask
you can
or
use
whatever.
that like on your back, that's fine.
Yeah. So, and I've heard that that is like terrible for your skin because it creates like tearing. So can you tell us a little bit about why exfoliation is important and what kind of exfoliation people should do and what to avoid?
So exfoliation is a super broad term, and honestly, I feel silly using it sometimes just because it's such a vague vocab word. But your typical exfoliation usually consists of like a granular or beaded cleanser, but the more advanced technology, there's chemical exfoliations. Like one of my specialties is chemical peels, and of course that is an in-office treatment, but there are also chemical exfoliation products you can use at home that could make you flake a little bit, but they don't necessarily have to in order to work. Like retinol, which I've mentioned, is a chemical exfoliation. So it's going to do a similar thing as a granular exfoliation, which is the beaded cleanser, but in a quicker time, because the chemical eats up those dead skin cells instantly rather than you manually just rubbing them off.
Okay.
So there are different types depending on your skin. I would definitely recommend someone more sensitive to start with the manual exfoliation, but nothing like St. Ives, like a very light beaded cleanser. And then if you've started with that and you've had no issues, we can definitely put you up to a chemical exfoliation, which really gets into fighting the hyperpigmentation and the fine lines and wrinkles, rather than just cleaning the skin.
Right. Okay. And then you mentioned retinol. Can you tell us a little bit more about, besides like a chemical exfoliation, like what it does and, you know, who can use it or who shouldn't use it?
Yeah, retinol is my favorite. Anyone can use it, actually. A lot of people, even with rosacea, can use it. It's a stigma that you shouldn't if you have sensitive skin, but once again, like vitamin C, not all retinol is created equally. It depends on the actual product you're referring to. So retinol is retinoic acid, which is vitamin A. There's retinoids you can get at Walmart or Target. That's what do they call that? Well, anyway, you don't want to use that anyway. There's cosmeceutical retinols, which are a step up for anything you can get over the counter, which you would get from a professional, but it's not necessarily going to be from your dermatologist. If you go to a dermatologist, which if you're really struggling with like crazy cystic acne, that's usually what your dermatologist will give it to you for, just because it's a treatment rather than just a superficial thing. That's tretinoin. So there's a lot of different types. What it does is it boosts your cell turnover rate. No matter which type you get, it's going to boost that. The difference is the strength. It's obviously going to do it quicker, and the harsher it's going to be. And then some retinols are pure. Some of them are formulated with other ingredients. So if you have rosacea, your retinol that might be best for you might be formulated with a hyaluronic acid that'll substitute the harshness on the skin and the exfoliation with hydrating. So it will make your downtime lesser than someone who has more acneic skin, and their retinol, they might want it to be more harsh and they don't necessarily need that extra moisture.
Right.
So really the main benefit is boosting your cell turnover rate, but the reason that's so great is because it literally can treat any skin condition. Well, I don't want to say literally. So it can treat almost any skin condition. As far as acne, it clears that. It helps with fine lines and wrinkles. It helps with brightening the skin, because what it does is it makes you grow new skin cells at a more rapid pace.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, what I've read is it's like the only thing that's scientifically proven to help with fine lines and wrinkles. Like everything else is kind of, you know, experimental.
Other than Botox, yes.
Right. And I got another question, which you may have already answered, but overall, what's the most important product to have?
I don't think I've answered, not necessarily, but I always recommend, of course, you want to cleanse and moisturize. You can get away with sunscreen during the day. You can get away with using a lesser moisturizer and skincare as far as budget goes. You can get something, I recommend Avena for people who are more on a budget, a little bit more natural, because I recommend, most importantly, of course, I want you to invest in every product, but I most importantly recommend investing in your serums and your retinols. Those are going to give you the most benefit other than at home or other than in-office professional treatments. Your serums are going to be custom to whatever your skin type is, very vague. So I mentioned before, hyaluronic acid boosting serum is really good. Vitamin C is also a serum. There's lots of different types of vitamin C serums. There's B5 serums. Just whatever your skin type is, there's a serum for that. Most important, because it's going to penetrate a lot deeper than your moisturizer. You're going to get the most result from that. And then your retinol, like we just talked about, there's a different retinol formulated for everybody. Serums of retinol, definitely most important. If you're, even if you're not someone that is seeing signs of aging, these are preventative products.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that's really important. Because a lot of people, especially in their 20s, aren't really thinking about that. But the more prevention you do, the better.
Right.
Okay. Next question we have is, can you talk a little bit about people with normal skin and what kind of, I guess, options they have that are maybe different from oily skin or dry skin people?
Yeah, so typically when someone says normal skin, they're meaning that they don't really have many problems that they see. They just want to maintain what they have and maybe get a little bit more glowy. Sure. So as far as maintaining, you can get away with simply using cleansing. Always want to tone to balance your pH of your skin, no matter how great your skin is. You want to use a toner. Witch hazel is a toner you can get anywhere for like $3. The only problem with witch hazel is it's good for calming the skin, but it can dry it out because there's a lot of alcohol in it. That's why you can benefit from getting a professional toner, because it'll have other added ingredients that'll benefit your skin rather than just toning. So cleanse, tone, depending on as far as normal goes, you can lean more dry and you can lean more oily depending on the time of day, depending on the time of year. So you probably want to have a couple different serums you switch off on depending on how your skin's doing that day. If you're more dry, you can use something hydrating, or if you do break out a little bit, you can put a little spot acne treatment on it. And then of course, sunscreen in the morning and retinol in the evening. And retinol, even if you are normal, it's really going to keep your skin in its best possible condition for as long as possible.
Okay. Great. Next question is what to apply for stretch marks and dark circles under the eyes?
Under the eyes is going to be one of the trickiest areas because it's such a sensitive area. You don't want to use any harsh ingredients there. I do have clients who are able to work up to that, but starting off, your best friend is going to be either an eye cream or an eye gel. If you're dry, I would recommend a cream. And if you're really more concerned with puffiness, I would recommend a gel. Now, you can always use both to cover everything, but that can be a little overwhelming when you're a beginner in skincare to start off with 7 products. So I really try to start you with the basics. So I would choose a cream for hydrating or a gel if you're more concerned. When she said dark circles, I'm assuming that she needs tightening, because usually the dark circles come from an indentation from this actually, maybe your cheek being puffy or this sunken in. So when you tighten it, the shadow goes away.
Okay. And then I know for like a lot of South Asian people, there's also like additional pigmentation that we tend to have like under our eyes and like around our mouth and stuff like that. Is there anything that would help with that?
Yes, brightening serum is going to be good for that. If you have oily skin, like I said before, I would stick away from a vitamin C, but there are vitamin B serums that are good for brightening. Like a vitamin B5 could be really great for that. And even if they're not specifically formulated for the eye, a very natural vitamin B serum can be used in that area. It's not going to be harsh.
Okay. And then any options for helping with stretch marks?
Yes, so stretch marks, just massaging that area at home is really great, but also as far as treatment goes, this isn't something I offer. I used to in the med spa. I have seen microneedling do wonders for stretch marks. That's the only treatment I would ever say actually works for them. So you could definitely consult with me even if you wanted to about what you could do with that. But if you have a dermatologist that you trust or a med spa that you trust, microneedling is amazing for stretch marks. As far as at-home use, caffeine is good for something like that. So even making an at-home, like taking coffee grounds, mixing that up with just like something emollient to stick it together, even if it's just like not Vaseline, but maybe Aquaphor or something lighter, or A&D, mixing it with the coffee grounds and massaging that in, or even coconut oil. You just want to get it thick enough to where it doesn't just fall off. But caffeine's great for tightening and for stretch marks.
Okay. Let's see if we have any other questions. Here we go. What to do for blackheads on your nose?
So
Like,
for at home, do what?
Blackheads generally, or just like on your nose?
Oily skin people tend to get them throughout the T-zone and then under here as well. But typically everyone has them all over their nose. And actually it's a lot more difficult for people with dry skin because you have tight pores, so they will not come out. So in that case, I definitely recommend for at home, taking a really warm shower, letting the pores open up, and immediately when you get out of the shower, when I say get out because you want this type of mask to dry, when you get out of the shower, applying a mud mask and letting it dry completely and tighten is really good because it'll go into your pores while they're still open and help bring out some of those impurities. Exfoliating is really good for that as well. But as far as in-office treatments, all of my facials include extractions as well as chemical peels. They all include extractions, which just pushes out any impurities in the skin, whether it's blackheads, acne, whiteheads, all the above. A lot of spas in the area or whatever area you're in, or derm offices will also include extractions in their services. So that's the best thing for blackheads.
Right. And I know a lot of people look at going into an office, seeing an esthetician as like a luxury. I have learned, and I wish I had realized this in my 20s, which was that like it's not a luxury, it's really a necessity that you do is a favor to yourself, like your future self, and to not look at it as like, you know, pampering or luxury. It's really taking care of your skin, which is what your largest organ in your body.
Right.
So that's my like 2 cents on that.
Yeah, well, I personally think it's a regional thing. Certain areas are a little bit more advanced in skincare than others. Like when I lived in the DC area and worked there, people were having their 13-year-olds come in for facials. It was just part of their life. It's just what everyone does. And here it is looked at as a luxury. And I think it's because when this industry first started as a beauticians, it was a very mostly makeup, lotion, that type of thing, just really simple, just pampering things. But as technology has improved, chemical peels can really do wonders for your skin, and as well as at-home skincare has just advanced so much. You can notice huge improvements, and once you see them and they go away, usually they keep running back. But yeah, I like to tell people all the time, because I do get, oh well, you're young, you just have naturally good skin, and I appreciate the compliment. But I did I'm 29 and I started doing this when I was 21, and my skin has gotten better since then, so I can definitely attest to that. Just doing regular treatments, I had more lines in my forehead when I was 20 than I do now.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Um, okay. So next question, in terms of products, one, or I guess maybe two different types of products that I hear a lot about are AHAs and BHAs, but honestly, I'm not quite sure what those are or what they do.
Yeah, they're kind of similar. They're both hydroxy acids. So alpha hydroxy acid, AHA, the most you're going to be familiar with that. It's more for anti-aging, but the common ingredient that you're going to see is glycolic acid. That might be something you're familiar with.
Yeah.
That's the most common AHA, which is good for anti-aging and glowy, dull skin, stuff like that. And then beta hydroxy acid is actually, it's like the salicylic acid is what you're probably familiar with. It's more for acneic skin. You can find it in cleansers, serums, mostly cleansers. Anyone with acne can really benefit from using a beta hydroxy cleanser. But yeah, like I said, the AHA is glycolic, BHA salicylic. The difference is one's going to be for more dry, mature skin, and the other, the BHA, is going to be for not necessarily youthful, but thicker, more acneic skin.
Okay. And then are there any other products that we haven't kind of talked about, or I guess ingredients for products that you think are important for people to know about that they might use and as part of their routine?
We covered a lot of it, but let me think. I have some things laying out here. Oh, we didn't really talk about peptides. That's something that's looked over a lot.
Yeah.
So peptides are in a lot of anti-aging products. They're mostly meant for fine lines and wrinkles. They're actually known as a maintenance treatment you can do at home between neurotoxin like Botox, Dysport, stuff like that, because they really do on their own without even doing injections. It smooths out fine lines and wrinkles because it stops free radicals, which is similar to the antioxidant vitamin C. It neutralizes the free radicals and stops the damage in the skin, which causes fine lines and wrinkles. So even using peptides by themselves are super beneficial. It's used as a spot treatment around the eyes for the crow's feet, and also the nasolabial folds around the mouth. That's something that I know a lot of women especially have struggles with. So peptides, very important.
Okay. And it doesn't matter if your skin is oily, dry, normal, or can it?
No, that's something that pretty much anyone can use because it's a spot treatment, and the areas you use it on are usually the areas that don't have that aren't the type that would break out. You don't really get clogged pores around this area. The occasional person might get like milia, the little like calcium or whitehead in this area, but the peptide should not affect that.
Okay. All right. You talked about sunscreen, that even if you're inside, to go ahead and use it on a daily basis.
I know it sounds silly, but it doesn't hurt anything, and it definitely helps. Sunscreen is something that people despise using for some reason, but those who use it just look better than those who don't.
Yeah. And then I guess, is there like, are there better sunscreens than others? Is it enough to have like sunscreen in your foundation, or should you add extra, something like that?
It depends. So it depends on the product, once again. a lot of foundations, if it's a powdery foundation with sunscreen, I would recommend you could use that over another sunscreen. I wouldn't think that would be enough coverage, but I have personally been using NARS tinted moisturizer with SPF 30 for 6 years, and a lot of times I will use it as my only SPF, and my face will stay white as a ghost while I get sun on my body. So I'm one of those people that totally believes that certain tinted moisturizers and certain foundations can have enough coverage, but it really just goes down to the product. And it also depends on what else is formulated in the sunscreen as far as breaking out your skin, because sunscreen is one of the top ingredients that will cause acne. So if you do struggle with that, I would definitely recommend being pickier and using something pure. Like this PCA's products that I use are really natural and simple. They're very straight to the point. So literally hydrator plus SPF 30. Super simple, but the reason is because it only has your active ingredients. It doesn't have a bunch of fillers and stuff like that. It doesn't clog your pores. So using any sort of professional or medical grade products, sunscreen wise, is what I'd recommend if you struggle with acne.
Okay. And is there a minimum sunscreen or like, I guess, SPF number? I'm not sure what to call it. But is there a minimum that you should do whenever you choose a sunscreen or a foundation tinted moisturizer?
I would definitely do a minimum of 30. Even if you're not someone that burns, because you will still get sun damage even if you don't burn. It just depends on how much melanin is in your skin. Melanin is sometimes protects you from the sun. So the darker your skin is, the less you're going to burn, but you're still getting the same amount of damage as someone with lighter skin who's getting a sunburn. So I would definitely recommend a minimum of 30, but if you're fair, feel free to use as high as you'd like. I do kind of believe that anything above 50 doesn't do any additional, but nothing above it's going to hurt. I just think 30 minimum. If you're lighter, you can use 50 or more if you really feel the need.
Okay. And one thing I learned from one of my friends who was Black and had skin cancer from when she was younger, she was like, don't think that just because you have melanin that you can ignore sunscreen or ignore taking precautions from the sun, that it can affect anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And luckily, a lot of people are figuring that out now, because for the longest time, even I've only been in this industry for 7 years, and even when I started, I felt like no one knew they needed sunscreen. So we're definitely progressing.
Right. Let's see. In terms of like facials versus peels, are they do people need both, or do certain skin types need one type of, I guess, service over the other?
Most of my clients do both. Most people start off with one or the other, and then we'll usually intertwine the two. I personally run my business on a very custom approach. So even though I have the facial category and the peel category, I sometimes even combine the two into one treatment. The difference is going to be when you refer to a chemical peel, you're usually going to have a little bit of downtime, even if it's only redness. With a facial, you usually just leave looking great. But with that being said, you're going to get more benefit as far as the texture and skin tone and fine lines from doing one chemical peel than one facial. Can you achieve the same results from doing facials as peels? Yes, but you're going to need way more facials than you would peels, because peels go much deeper. But usually I'll have you do, depending on how severe the skin problem is, as far as hyperpigmentation or acne scarring, I'll usually have someone do a package of either 3 to 6 chemical peels, depending on how severe, and then we'll go into maintenance facials. But then others, like the person who asked the question earlier, with more normal skin, we usually will just stick to your basic, relaxing, luxurious facials, which do include extractions and everything. So you definitely get a lot of benefit. They're just a little more relaxing, no downtime. We'll usually just stick with those until a problem does occur, and then we might transition to peels. They're just more corrective.
Right. Okay. Actually, funny story. So, like, I got my peel from you like right before we started quarantining. I think it was
Yeah.
like literally the week before, and my skin started to peel like as people were starting to panic that like that COVID-19 might be a bigger thing than like everyone had previously thought. And so like my face is peeling, especially around my mouth. And even though that's not like a symptom of
Right.
COVID-19, I was like, people are gonna think that I'm like sick and walking around
I
with this
know.
like weird peeling skin on my face, and they're going to be running away from me. So
Did that
thankfully
happen?
they didn't, and then I got to quarantine, so it didn't matter anyway. Which makes me think: are there any like skin treatments that would be good to do right now, where people are quarantined and maybe aren't doing face to face with people as much, or would those? What's
As
that?
far as skin treatments to do at home,
Yeah, anything at home that they can do, or are those types of things going to be something that you should leave to somebody who's licensed?
if you don't know about ingredients, I would definitely not do a chemical peel at home because you can get some if you look on the internet. But the problem is there's so many different types, and if you're not properly trained to handle something when it goes wrong, something can go seriously wrong. So I would never recommend doing a chemical peel at home unless you're a professional or you've had hands-on training. But if there are things you can do without downtime at home, like I mentioned earlier, an enzyme mask is very similar to a chemical peel, but you only leave it on for a few minutes. It gives you a chemical exfoliation. It's not self-neutralizing, so you do need to remove it. It will give you a chemical exfoliation without having any bad side effects, unless you just have an allergy, which can come up with anybody. But unless something crazy just happens like that, no bad side effects and no downtime. So doing something like that at home could be really beneficial in this time, or just a custom mask like a mud mask or a oat milk mask for hydrating, something like that.
Okay. And then actually, I just thought of this, but a lot of us are, our food habits have changed since we got into quarantine. I'm actually
Yeah,
probably eating more healthy than I'm used to because I tend to eat out a lot. So I'm not doing that anymore.
that's
And
great. A lot of people are probably the opposite because they don't know how to cook.
well, I don't know how to cook, but my mom's cooking
Oh,
everything. And so I'm eating a lot of like, freshly made, homemade Indian food. And I'm wondering like,
jealous.
what's that?
I'm so jealous. Mail me some, please.
I mean, I might drop something off at your doorstep because it's been amazing. But like, for people who want to make like, I guess, nutritional changes, are there any effects on your skin? People always say like, don't eat chocolate, that's bad for your skin. I don't know if that's true, but is there on the other side foods that can help your skin?
Yes. So most importantly, I actually set something aside, so I'm glad you asked that. Most importantly, drink a ton of water, which I know you hear that all the time, but it's just so true. Water, water, water. But something, not necessarily a food, but a supplement you can take that's really great for your skin right now, especially if you are eating like a lot of dairy, which will break you out, or chocolate, which will break you out, maybe stuff you have laying around the house you wouldn't normally eat that's breaking you out. I love collagen peptides. I
Hmm.
put this in my coffee every single morning. It's great for your skin, but it's also really great for your bones. It's just good for all over your body. But this actually does keep your skin clear. Anyone can do it. It's tasteless. I got these at Costco. You can get them anywhere probably. You can probably order them from Amazon, but I do know Costco is doing home delivery right now too. But yeah, collagen peptides, really great. Um, as far as food to eat that'll help your skin, it it's really hard to say because things taken, things ingested affect your skin so much differently than when they're applied topically. I can
Hmm.
tell you all day what to avoid, but as far as certain foods you can eat to help your skin, definitely high fat foods with oil other than
Hmm.
dairy, not dairy, that'll break you out. But eating a lot of avocado, eating a lot of nuts, stuff like that is not only good for your skin, but it's also good for your hair because it's good for your scalp. You absorb those oils and it just comes out through your body.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Um, So we only have about 14 minutes left before Instagram cuts us off. Um, So I just have a few more questions. You had mentioned skin massage and like kind of options if you can order a tool, like you had the jade roller. Are there any options like where you can massage your face with just your hands, where if you don't have any tools and you know either can't afford them or Amazon won't deliver, I guess, non-essential things right now?
Yes. Let me use my hand sanitizer.
Good for you. I don't even have hand sanitizer.
Number one fashion product right now, hand sanitizer. So I mentioned earlier coconut oil if you don't have anything else, but product I personally use is the Daily Cleansing Oil from PCA. I do a pump of this, and then I didn't really do a pump just because it'll take off all my makeup. But you just kind of rub it in, and you always want to start with an upward motion. Don't ever go down, because as silly as it sounds, gravity does a lot for us. So just rubbing your skin down once hurts you. So always rub up. With my massage, I tend to just use more pressure than anything. So really digging in right here where you have knots, right here. Believe it or not, no one realizes how tense their face is until they actually start massaging it. Definitely right here. This is one of my favorite things to do. This really helps with sinuses, but it also helps with eye puffiness. Also under the brow, this is really super good for migraines. Just rubbing literally right on the brow bone or up right here. And then you can also feel right here some tension in your forehead, like right above your glabella muscle. So those areas, and then right here in your temple as well, that's a huge pressure point. So a lot of times if you're having a headache, literally just putting some essential oil on your hands, mixing it with a carrier, because pure essential oil is too harsh to put directly on your skin. So mix it with like coconut oil, apply it to your pressure points, and then just little things like pushing it in will massage your face. So my full facials include about 10-15 minutes of facial massage. Most people aren't going to do that to themselves, but doing just the pressure points can really go a long way.
And is that something that people can do every day, or should that be like alternated?
Oh no, you can do it several times a day.
Oh, okay.
Just especially if you're someone that has a lot of sinuses, like I said earlier, just this is the most important right here, right here, right here, as many times as you want. And one thing, I know this isn't related to facial massage, but one of my favorite tools to use at home. This is just something pretty inexpensive I got in my FabFitFun box. I don't know if any of you guys do that. LED light is something I incorporate in a lot of my treatments in office, but this is a little gadget I like to use. This one is by Revive Light Therapy. This isn't something that you really have to get a specific brand. That's just the one that I have. You turn it on, red light. You can apply it directly to the skin. Red light therapy is really great for inflammation, so acne, rosacea. It's great for hyperpigmentation. It's great for product penetration. It helps drive that all in deeper. And also, it's good for collagen remodeling. So it really is recommended for something like this to do a few minutes every single day at home. In my treatments, I'll do anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and it's an all over facial thing, so it's a little bit more intense. But this has been my best friend with leaving all of my equipment at my office. Right. So this is something you can totally get at home to help brighten the skin even, and also help with acne.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions for people who are just sort of starting out on their skincare journey and who don't have maybe like, well, right now I don't think anyone really has access to an esthetician, but doesn't have a lot of information? Where do they start? Do you have any resources that they can reach out to or look up?
Well, if you want to consult with me personally, I am doing virtual consults right now. I do have a website, www.yourfacialspa.com. You can either email me on there, we can set up a FaceTime or an Instagram video, we can do anything like that, or just mobily if you don't want to do a video, just talk a little bit about your skin. I do have a full skincare line that I've been setting up, at-home treatments for people all month long, starting into the middle of last month. And I do offer free shipping. I also have a promotion going on right now just because of everything that's going on in the world. My company not Me to You Aesthetics, but PCA, the product line that I use, they've actually been doing really great things to help out our clients. And right now, if you purchase $200 worth of things, you get a full free size product, which is up to $125 value. So a lot of my clients have been taking advantage of that because with the $200, you can really buy an entire facial to do at home. But also on any amount, I always offer free shipping. So that's been a good resource for people. But if you're not interested in actually buying products, we can definitely consult and talk about what you have in your house that you can use as well.
Okay. And then any advice for people who like would regularly see their esthetician and they just now can't and are familiar with skincare and have like a regimen, but are now just kind of stuck at home and not sure if they should be doing anything extra that they would usually consult with you about?
Yes, definitely protect your investment. Skin treatments aren't super cheap, so don't just let yourself go because you can't see your esthetician. There are things you can do at home to help maintain. Like we talked about earlier, the benefit of just doing your at-home regimen with your cleansing, your toning, your moisturizing, that can take you a long way. And someone who's just starting out that's not doing that, if you just start using a good cleanser and a good moisturizer, you'll notice a huge difference. And if you don't have access to those things, or maybe you're unemployed right now and you don't have the finances to get those things, there are things you can use in your own home. And depending on your skin type, we can totally talk about what those are. Like for drier skin, if you do have an oil laying around, you can totally use that for a cleanser. Just make sure you remove it perfectly. And there are things you might have laying around you can hydrate with as well. Certain foods you can use as a mask, and then you can apply a little bit of a very, very, very light amount of coconut oil for hydrating. And if you have, probably not this time of year, but for dull, dry, cracked skin and you don't have access to an esthetician right now, I always recommend you can apply Aquaphor like to the lips, or even Vaseline under the eyes if you're struggling with really dryness around here and you're not able to come in for your regular treatment.
Okay. Well, we only have a few minutes left. Do you have any other like tips or advice for people? Anything like that?
Yeah, what I've really been telling people lately is just to do your best to take care of yourself right now. I know these might not seem like super important things to everyone, but self-care goes a long way, especially in a time like this, and it really does a lot for your mental health. So just because you can't see your esthetician right now, don't just let yourself go. We're gonna get back to real life. It's gonna be there. So just maintain it in the meantime and do like we're all doing and just try to hold yourself together. And I personally have found a lot of joy in painting my whole house and doing some gardening. So staying busy is always good too.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. This has been really awesome. We got a ton of questions, so hopefully people got some good advice that they can use. And then hopefully I'll be able to post this to YouTube, and I'll be able to link your website. And then, people can get in touch with you via Instagram or the website. So thank you very much. And I will hopefully see you very soon.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye.